Cinematography is the science or art of making motion pictures. In cinema, we must consider what's in the frame, but also what's outside the frame. It's always easy to take pretty shots or have characters recite dialogue, but how can we incorporate other elements and feelings in our films to enhance the story? Today, I want to talk about cinematography, specifically the cinematography of the movie Blair Witch. The start of the movie begins with found footage of someone running away from something. Now, the beginning lends itself to the tension of the movie, but we don't know exactly who's running. However, it instills fear into the viewer with its use of minimal lighting and sounds of screaming and thunder. Most of the scene is very grungy and decayed.
What is that?
Lisa, I think that might be my sister.
About half a minute later, the movie puts the footage into context. We're introduced to two of the main protagonists, James, who we find out his name later on, and Lisa, his friend, who's creating a documentary of his ongoing endeavor in search of his missing sister. The person in the found footage is James' sister, Heather, for those who don't know, went missing in the previous movie, The Blair Witch Project. As Valerie Curry, the actor that portrays Talia later on, describes it, the beginning builds on this idea of ambiguous loss. This scene sets up the purpose of the movie, but more importantly, it tells us who's involved and why.
Okay, so try on that earpiece camera.
The great thing about this movie is its use of tech to create different perspectives, be it communications or visuals. In this scene, we see walkie-talkies, an unbranded drone, earpiece cameras, and Lisa using some sort of camera with a zoom lens. Pay attention to the subtle number of perspectives changing from 3 to 2. Also within this scene, James establishes two other characters, Peter and Ashley, without having them directly in the scene itself. For the viewers, we assume it's the two others that appeared in the scene before this one.
That area was extensively searched by police and FBI, but they could find no evidence of an existing house in those woods.
The use of blurry footage and Lisa's narration tells us this visual is events in the past. The quality of the footage throughout the film will also help narrate the story further into the movie.
How long have you and James been friends?
Our parents were friends, so we basically grew up together.
One of the techniques in cinema often overlooked, not only in this movie, but in many others, is the use of the J-cut. This is an audio transition, where you hear what's going on before you see what's going on. And again, paying attention to the perspective and the zoom, we know it's Lisa interviewing Peter and not someone else like Ashley.
Okay, let's just move back a little bit.
How far does it go?
Like 100 meters is the max, I think?
Here we are introduced to the point of view of the drone, but also if we look closely enough, we notice that Peter and Ashley also have their own perspectives. Now we have created every current character's point of view within the story. Now, psychological fear and tension is something very prominent in most horror films. The template is pretty cookie cutter. Start off with tension, drop it in the beginning, and slowly build it back up as the movie progresses. Blair Witch is no exception. Here is where the fear and tension is at its lowest.
Hey, I may need to get you guys to sign some release forms later if that's
Yeah,
okay.
sure, that's cool. I'll probably need you to sign one too.
This is probably one of my favorite scenes in the movie. It tells us a lot about each character's attitude and thoughts towards the objective, as well as introduces two new characters, Lainey and Talia. We're also given a new perspective to consider, Lainey's camcorder, which we find out later on uses old school tape, hence the over-sharpened image every time it is his point of view or Talia's.
We want to go out there with you. I mean, if you're going to be looking around, we want to be a part of that. It's not, not going to be burning or anything all the time. But that's the deal if you want us to show you where we found it.
Facial expressions play a big role in this scene, not only for Lainey and Talia, but also everyone else. Lainey and Talia's faces show us they're excited and interested in what they're doing, while Peter's and Ashley's expressions tell us they're not in favor of having them come along. James is debating but fairly neutral, and as for Lisa, we don't see her face, but in the next scene and for most of the movie, she's quite neutral as well, but very supportive of James' decisions. The next sequence of jump cuts really helps move the story along. It's portraying the distance traveled is quite far from where they were previously, and how soon they'll be entering the woods.
Lisa. And Ash, I'm gonna give you the headlamp.
In this scene, each character is given a light source. Further into the movie, this will add to the perspective of each character and what they see. James, Lisa, and Peter each get a flashlight, whereas Ashley will be wearing the headlamp. And very subtly, here's another J-cut, letting audio guide the way.
Lisa.
No, no one cares. No one living, that is.
The laughter defines the doubt the group of four has about the superstitions, but we as viewers know how wrong they will be. Irony is something very common in horror films.
Yeah. So how come I'm okay? Nothing got me then.
Maybe it did. You're back, right?
In the first Nightfall, we pretty much see everyone at the same eye level, with the exception of Peter. This is foreshadowing and quite symbolic of things to come. It insinuates overconfidence or arrogance, seeing how Peter is the first to die in these woods.
Hey, Lisa. Lisa, the hell are you doing?
It isn't a horror film without jump scares. Going back to the flashlights, not only do they define what a character sees at a given moment during the night, but also how calm they are. Currently, the flashlight from James' view is pretty in line with the direction he's going and points at what he's seeing. Further in the story, we'll see it isn't always this way.
We're not prepared for this.
Okay, I've seen this stuff before. This wasn't Heather's footage, guys.
Shit, there's another one back here.
That's my tent. Does anybody know what time it is? My watch is saying 2 p.m.
What? How is it even possible?
Look, I
We just
know,
woke up.
Tired, but how did we sleep till 2 in the afternoon?
This is where the tension starts to rise, the constant dialogue builds up anxiety, the camera movements show each character is slightly in shock, and the disarray with what time it is creates confusion. The story tension now is beginning to build back up, especially with the usage of symbols like the stick figures and rocks that is a commonality between both movies.
No way, no, what?
We've been walking in a circle.
That doesn't make sense. I've been following the GPS.
Then we should have reached the fence hours ago.
Here is another defining moment in the plot, where this time the lighting really hones in on the setting. We see it's getting close to sundown and the group now ended up in the same spot they were at hours ago. The lighting is quite even all around, which could suggest they're deep inside the woods rather than close to an exit. Frustration is at an all-time high, and for two of the characters, Peter and Ashley, they are depicted at possibly one of their lowest points of the movie. The simple positioning of Ashley looking up to James and Lisa shows how significantly low in stamina and morale she's at compared to them. If we remember the flashlights, this moment greatly depicts fear in the story. I picked this scene because it's the first time we see such strong unhinged motions where the flashlight Peter has is mainly pointed down rather than pointed directly ahead like James had earlier on. The sounds from behind him suggest he's being chased by something ominous, and his screams adds to the panic and horror in the story. Now, this is quite common in a lot of cinema, not only in horror films. The usage of sounds like the tree branch creaking and Ashley's groans foreshadows that she's going to fall. It's only a matter of time. Ashley is the only one with a headlamp. If we remember, every time she looks down, it really sells how high up that fall would be.
Hey, come on!
At this point, we're at a last resort moment. Ashley, Peter, and Talia are dead, and Lainey's presence is unknown. We're left here with our main protagonists, James and Lisa. For most of the movie, Lisa has been supportive of James, but now she's slightly hesitant. I say slightly because she eventually follows him into the house. The only light source left is their flashlight and the thunder outside, which is a beautiful full circle in horror cinema. Both characters show desperation on their face, but different kinds. James feels so close to finding his sister, which in turn clouds his judgment to enter the building, whereas Lisa is drained and begging him not to go in. As Corbin Reed, the actor for Ashley, says, the movie really plays on our primal fear, the fear of uncertainty, claustrophobia, being lost, and the supernatural. The movie really ties in on those fears with every scene throughout. Lastly, this is where the movie ends. Not only is it reminiscent of the Blair Witch Project, but the grime, backwards lighting coming from the camera, and Lisa's only vision using the LCD screen really takes it home in terms of horror. The shaky footage, both with the camcorder and her earpiece combined with her breathing, allows the viewers to understand the fear she's going through. It utilizes the point of view element really well even at the conclusion. The elements in the movie makes for a great sequel to the Blair Witch Project, but also creates a real trepidation in those watching it. Taking away any of these elements and it just wouldn't be the same. Hey guys, hope you enjoyed watching that as much as I liked working on it. I know this is kind of different from our usual content of vlogs, but this year we wanted to at least branch off a little bit into short films and cinematography, and I think this was a good starting point since the movie Blair Witch is very similar to a vlogging style kind of movie. If you liked the video, make sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to see more in the future. If you want to see another video like this, make sure to comment down below on what movie I should do next. Obviously, most of this is my opinion and it's watching the movie through my eyes, so don't forget to take whatever I say with a grain of rice.